panel. So just by way of introduction, I'm a partner in Analysys Mason's consulting team based in the UK. Analysys Mason are consulting and research specialists in telecoms, media and technologies. So I am going to make a few introductory remarks. I have a few slides to go through, and then we will introduce the operator and regulator panel. We have two regulators who will be giving their perspective, and then we have two operators as well. So just by way of introduction, in the context of achieving full broadband connectivity, which is a key goal in society, 4G and 5G fixed wireless access technologies are options both for fixed and mobile operators to deliver broadband services into the home. So the basic options for broadband being delivered terrestrially at a fixed location are shown here on the slides. Obviously, there is satellite broadband as well, but just shown on the slide here, the basic options for getting broadband into fixed locations. There is fibre to the premises. There is the option of challenger or mainstream broadband operators reselling broadband services, so use of a regulated offer, for example. There is deployment of 4G or 5G fixed wireless access as an option, and then there is also, particularly potentially within 5G, a mobile operator-led approach where perhaps a pure mobile operator is looking to enter the home broadband market or the home data market, and that entry might be opportunistic initially as networks are deployed for 5G mobile broadband purposes. There may be capacity within those networks to also offer a home broadband service. As that service evolves and as capacity needs to develop within that network, then there would be increasing focus there on deploying a fixed wireless access service. So I think, as we've already heard from Simon, LT fixed wireless access technologies have been on the market for several years. 5G fixed wireless access is also real. It is here today, and Simon has run through the statistics on launches. With that context, we're expecting fixed wireless access adoption to increase. So shown on the slide here are just examples from Analysys Mason's research. Data on the left-hand side, we have Western Europe. On the right-hand side, we have Central and Eastern Europe, and you can see the purple colour there showing the increase in FWA year on year up to 2025. Of course, within each of these two regions, there are variations. This is the average across those two regions. You can see in Western Europe, for example, countries like Italy, there are expected to be significantly higher FWA adoption, for example. So Simon has already just discussed peak speeds and marketable speeds with fixed wireless access. So shown on the slide here are some examples of selected operators' 5G fixed wireless access retail offers, and this is in Europe first initially. I have another slide showing the rest of the world. So what we're seeing is 4G fixed wireless access is already established. 5G fixed wireless access is being introduced. Deployments for 5G can really be split into two types: those using the C-band spectrum, which is between 3.4 and 3.8 gigahertz, and also those networks which are using millimeter wave spectrum. So in Europe, that would be 26 gigahertz. In some other markets, that might be 28 gigahertz. So from the retail offers that we are already aware of, we can already see what can be realistically expected and what can be marketed as the achievable speeds from fixed wireless access. Some of these services can burst up to very high speeds. I think, as Simon has already mentioned, achievable throughput is different though, and that is really what regulation is typically more concerned with. So there are some examples shown on the slide here. These are typically macro cell based deployments where the outdoor antenna might be on the customer premises, and then it would have a CPE as well. Operators often advertise maximum download speeds of several hundred megabits per second up to 1 gigabits per second in some cases, as shown on the slide here. Real world speeds might be lower. For example, Vodafone Germany markets a maximum speed of 500 megabits per second, but there is information on its website about the testing and validation and what you would expect in practice. Some regulators are more keen than others to really define and understand what this speed requirement is. So in the UK, for example, the requirement is that operators advertise the average speed of the package. So that's defined as the median download speed available to at least 50% of customers at peak time. So 3 in the UK, for example, therefore advertises average download speeds of 100 megabits per second for its 5G fixed wireless access. If we just look at some other examples around the world, again, using either C-band or millimeter wave, or quite often 4G fixed wireless access is using either 2.6 gigahertz spectrum or 2.3 gigahertz. Again, you can see a range of different types of offer. An interesting one is Optus in Australia, where they have taken a different approach to promoting download speeds, and they've actually offered a speed guarantee of 50 megabits per second. And then customers that don't receive that speed are able to contract out without any penalty. Verizon in the US is using millimeter wave, currently using 400 megahertz of spectrum, and typically the download speeds there are up to nearly 1 gigabits per second. So in summary, fixed wireless access over 4G has been available for several years. 5G is here. It's available now. We're now going to move on to hear from 2 regulators, followed by 2 operators on their perspective in the different markets. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm now going to hand over to our first regulator presentation, who is the CITC in Saudi Arabia. So please welcome Abdul Rahman and Naji from the CITC. Abdul Rahman, over to you with your slides. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Janet, for the remarkable information about the fixed wireless access and how the improvement going to enable 5G in all the world. As a Saudi Arabia regulated telecom, and we have a main vision, as you know, Saudi Arabia has the vision 2030 is to enable the or transformation Saudi Arabia in digital society. So the CITC put some strategic to enable these things, and we start from putting the Saudi Arabian National Spectrum Strategy. Our strategy is putting the vision on the outline to enable the transformation of Saudi Arabian digital society. After that, we start to implement this strategy by putting the outlook, which is to enable the potential and the new technology in Saudi Arabia. Going through the workshop that had been done with co-hosted by ITU. It was a huge workshop with a lot of vendors and a lot of technologies that will be considered by the Saudi regulator to enable it in Saudi Arabia. Going to finally to publish our outlook in very soon this month. So one of the main consider is the 5G fixed wireless access. Why we should force it? As you know, the fixed wireless access is the last link between the network and the user. We know that Saudi Arabia is one of the huge countries that a lot of people need to have connected. Must be connected. As we know, we have almost 1 billion households that have no connected. We see that the fixed wireless access has a lot of advantages, such as fast deployment, There is no any building new infrastructure, and it has a low cost compared to the wired fixed broadband, and it's also a good competitor with the wired fixed broadband. So if you have the two competitors that competing in the market, the user will be very happy to have a good connection and good speed. Also, there is a good advantage for the fixed wireless access, connected, unconnected, such I mentioned before that we have a huge country with different geographical areas. So the fixed wireless access will provide a good connectivity in the places that it cannot be reached by the fixed broadband wire. Going through what the another regulator done, as we see, we have 4 countries that did good things in the fixed wireless access. We see that the ARCP from France, they put some obligation to provide the fixed wireless access in the C-band. Also, we see that Ofcom published the 5-year plan that include supporting the 5G fixed wireless access. And we see that the Republican of South Korea also now commercialized the 5G as a fixed wireless access. And finally, we see that the United States, they have a growth demand on the fixed wireless access, about 23%. And the operators in the United States start really to do some experimental with the for fixed wireless access for different bands of 5G. So in Saudi Arabia, we take it very seriously that fixed wireless access will play a second major role in 5G. We see that in Saudi Arabia, we did some advantage plan by farming some mid bands at 2.3 and 2.6. We have right now about 250,000 subscribers that using the fixed wireless access. In CITC, we believe that we need to give the fixed wireless access more spectrum, such as enabling the fixed wireless access alongside with the mobile in the C-band, and also give them some bands in the millimeter wave, such as 26 gigahertz. Also, we need to do some, what you said, homeworks in our regulatory perspective. We need to ensure that this spectrum is enough to fix a mobile, and also we will need to put some obligation to make the operator provide the fixed wireless access solutions. And we need to do some update to our regulations to enable the fixed changes in and the IMT technologies. Finally, we need to do some regulatory framework to make the fixed wireless available to our regulations. That is my presentation. I'm happy to have any questions in this regard. Thank you, Jeanette.
Thank you very much. We will move straight on to the next presentation, as we are running a little bit behind time. So I would like to introduce Marco Masari, who's from Agicom in Italy. So Marco, over to you.
كيف مناصر؟ أنا بحرت ما أدري وش القصة.
لا ممتاز يا رجال، ايش فيك؟ قاعد أصور كمان.
I think I know Marco's having some issues, so perhaps we skip from Marco and move on to Telia, and we can come back to AGCOM at the end.
That's fine. So if Patrick is available, let's move on to Patrick Pozzolini from Telia.
You should be able to see and hear me now, Jeanette.
I can do. Hello, Patrick. Nice to see you.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. It's good to be among friends here talking about FWA. I want to provide a perspective with key takeaways from an operator perspective here. And first of all, I want to just sketch out where Telia operates. We say that we are a pan-Nordic Baltic operator. And as you can see on this slide, we are a market leader in Sweden, in Lithuania and Estonia, and we are challenger in the Finnish and the Norwegian markets, and we are establishing across the Latvian and Danish market. So that's where we come from, and that's where we focus. And moving over to why fixed wireless access is of great importance. On the left-hand side, you can see our development within our footprint regarding fixed broadband services on fiber and such. And you can see that there is a decline in the increase there. So we're actually moving over to a saturated market when it comes to fixed broadband. And on the right-hand side, you see the development we're seeing within the fixed wireless arena. Instead, moving from single-digit percentage uptake, we're seeing double uptake or 5 times uptake if you compare 2018 to 2020, for example. And that is the way we're heading. And focusing down on Sweden, where I'm sitting, you can see that the fixed market penetration of 1 gigabit services in Sweden is around 93%. So, and that is figures from our regulatory authority in Sweden from 2019. And that says that we have to take the next step. So we started doing that a couple of years back, providing fixed wireless access. And that basically comes in 2 forms. We have 2 tracks. We have one track which is really non-dramatic at all. I mean, basically we provide the FWA service wherever we have mid-band capacity available. So that is purely looking at the network load we have in a certain area where you have a customer coming in and want the FWA service. And if there is capacity there, then we can provide the fixed wireless access installation to that customers. And then we have the more important, I would say, track 2, which connects to what you said, Jeanette, regarding connecting the whole society. Here we're out in rural areas of Sweden where you're not able to financially build a case to provide them with fiber access. And here we're able to provide good FWA access, targeting the rural area and upgrading with mid-band capacity. Looking at what we provide, the offer really includes an outdoor unit, and this is central. We can then provide broadband service. Today we are on 4G, but we are looking at 5G going forward. So hold on, there I'm back again. That's good. And one important part with this as well is that we actually have installation services. So the outdoor unit is actually installed by one of our certified technicians to make sure that we have the antenna direction, which is optimum, and we know that we can actually have a sign off from the customer that they achieve the speeds that we are putting out to them, and we're able to shake hands on that we actually delivered what they asked for. On top of that, we of course provide TV services. I mean, from what we're using our broadband services to, TV is maybe one of the more focused products that you want to have on your internet connection, whatever kind it is. So I want to take you through basically on a high level what we do in this geographical approach to target the market. First of all, we do an analysis of finding clusters of customers that could be of interest for us to target with this FWA product. And after that, we make a network and capacity analysis. So we look at what kind of coverage do we have here. We do what we call a pre-check of the surroundings of the customer base and look what speeds can we deliver, what kind of commitment can we make with those customers. Is this a viable customer base that we can approach? Once we have established that, we move on to the sales phase. And there we have direct marketing. I mean, the usual stuff. You send out leaflets in the mailboxes of people. You make telemarketing, and not in the pandemics, however. But of course, we would like now to add on field marketing as well. That is, however, troublesome in these times. So what we see from the sales phase is basically comparing it, since we have a fixed broadband fiber installations as well to compare to, we can see that we have a similar uptakes and even higher interest from the customer base that we offer an FWA product to. Once we have made the sales, it all moves on to the network upgrade if need be and the customer installation. So we make sure that we can sign off that the customer got the product they asked for and basically shake hands on their premises and move on with a happy customer. So with that, I want to move in and just highlight. I mean, I see this as us or Telia providing our knowledge about what we have run into so far with this process. And I have three key takeaways from our operations so far. We use an outdoor unit, and that is key, both from performance perspectives, because as you move your router to the outside of the house, you gain a lot of stability in the signal actually transmitted from the base station. And we have done thorough analysis together with our partner Ericsson here, and we see that we're actually able to create a fill rate which is 2 to 3 times as high as if you would have an indoor solution. So that also affects the return on investment on this kind of investment that we do. What we also see is that we have, of course, as we have both a fixed fiber and an FWA offering in our portfolio, we can see that the capital allocation needed for FWA is significantly lower than for a fiber offer. We're seeing in similar areas that are of the main interest for us right now that we are at maybe 50% to 30% of the capital allocation needed to build FWA services. And last but not least, maybe the most important part, reuse of our processes that we already had established within the fixed domain, in the fiber domain, and also the field operations. So what you could say, if you want to make this really sort of a picture, you could take the front end from a car, which is the sales force, that we have been able to reuse almost fully from the fiber sales we had. And what we have done now is actually put on a back end, which was a fiber rollout factory before, which is now a mobile rollout factory. So we've basically just exchanged the back end of the car to produce fixed broadband services to our customers. So that is an important part, and that is also a great leverage for those of you that have fixed operation to actually leverage your existing capacities and be quick out on the market. So with that, Jeanette, I would like to say thank you for your time and for the audience time.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I think we're going to move on now to our other operator presentation, just in the interest of time. So I'm going to move on to Omar Ozanir from Turkcell. So Omar, over to you. Hopefully you can see your slides.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Omar Ozanir, and I work for Turkcell's Radio Network Strategic Planning Team. And today I'd like to give you an overview of our fixed wireless access solution, Superbox. But first, let me start with a couple of words about Turkcell. We define ourselves as a digital operator, and we offer both mobile and fixed telecommunication services, and also digital services. Currently, Turkcell is ranked the #1 operator in Turkey with the highest Net Promoter Score. We have a total of 37 million subscribers. Of these, 22 million are MBB postpaid subscribers, and 11.5 million are prepaid MBB subscribers. And whilst we provide MBB services, we've also been challenging the home and enterprise market with our 2.5 million HBB and 0.9 million IPTV users. We invest heavily in new technology for the best customer experience. For example, with new technology tied to our broad spectrum, we achieve 1.4 gigabits per second over our LTE network. And Turkcell is one of the 5 fastest mobile operators according to GSA results. On the fixed broadband side, with 10G PON technology, we achieve 10 gigabits per second capacity over fiber. And finally, we've also been significantly increasing our in-house machine learning, artificial intelligence, big data capabilities, which, for example, enable us real-time monitoring of our operations, both on the business and on the network side. Since launching Superbox in Q4 2018, we've provided fiber-level internet services to households over our LTE MBB network. Demand has been very strong over the last 30 months, so that we reached more than 600,000 subscribers. And since the start of the pandemic in Turkey in March 2020, we've acquired 200,000 new customers. Our new normal over the last year, that is working and learning from home, with 3 million teleconference users and 8 million students who are using the government's online learning platform, EBA, and also home-based entertainment, like the 10 million gaming users. All of this has been facilitated by Superbox. Although Turkey does not have 5G yet, we consider Superbox to be our first 5G use case. We expect that in the 5G era, our FWA solution will cater to the needs of the home office, online education and entertainment, similar to what we experience right now. And 5G FWA will be an excellent enabler for Turkcell once we combine our advanced network with our well-positioned digital services, such as TV, music, or our planned AR, VR services. Aside from to customer and to home businesses, we also have a strategy for enterprise businesses with fixed wireless access technology. Now, coming to the details of Superbox, compared to mobile terminals, there are major differences in our deployment. To ensure customer satisfaction and optimum network utilization, we have installed several controls. To begin with, we separate mobile terminal traffic and Superbox traffic by defining different QCI levels. So we have the means to ensure that all customers are treated fairly. Every sales activity is preceded with a coverage and capacity check, and only when both LTE coverage and capacity thresholds are satisfied can sales be initiated. Then, we send a technician to the subscriber's home to deliver the box and also perform an on-site control. With a special application installed to the technician's mobile, LTE coverage and speed is checked. And if both are satisfactory, only then the application approves the sales. But to remove this second step, we've designed a plug-and-play solution as well, where we send the CP by mail and the customer can install it by herself or himself. And this has been very convenient during the pandemic. We also use a special APN to manage Superbox traffic. And finally, we've also designed IMSI and IMEI tag matching, specifically for Superbox. So with this solution, the user is not allowed to use a different SIM card in the box, and in turn, the Superbox SIM card cannot be used in different terminals. Although we've installed these controls to ensure customer satisfaction, some significant challenges remain. For example, the increasing demand is one of these. During the pandemic, Superbox usage has increased by up to 50%, and the accompanying throughput degradation requires extra focus. It is clear that mobile and fixed behavior is totally different. Superbox usage can be defined as mobile technology, but fixed user behavior. Superbox users consume around 20 times more data compared to mobile users. And we try to manage this behavior with the location-based controls I mentioned earlier, and some other strategies, which I'll mention in a moment. For example, we shift some non-time critical applications, such as software updates, from busy hours to non-busy hours. And also, since we differentiate Superbox traffic with a different QCI, we have the means to manage how this traffic is treated compared to mobile traffic. Coming to mobility, this is another major challenge. We define Superbox as a fixed service, but some users have been using the CP in a mobile manner, and this has been causing bottlenecks in certain locations, from which the users themselves suffer as well. Now we've designed a location lock feature through which customers who buy a specific tariff are disabled from using the CP in more than 2 locations, unless they pay a fee. And the final challenge I'd like to mention is the CP itself. We are only offering indoor CPs at the moment. So as a result, the user performance is directly related to the location of the CP in the home. We think that the user-friendly location with outdoor type CPs would have a positive effect on both the network and the user experience. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Omar, for that very interesting presentation. We will now, I think, go back to the final regulatory presentation. We have Marco back on stream, and Marco, I think your slides are visible as well. So could I introduce Marco Masari from the Italian regulator, Agcom.
Hi, good morning to everybody. I hope you can hear me properly at this time. Okay. So this should be just a very quick overview about Italian Regulation Authority work around FWA and related matters. So we can start with an overview that in the Italian electronic communication market, the monitoring report Agcom published every quarter states that December 2020, over a total of 90,430,000 active access line, there were around 1,400,000 fixed wireless access. That's equal to 7.4% of the total accesses recorded at December 2020. We can see in this slide that the number of FWA accesses significantly grows year on year at around 11.4%. In Italy, we have 2 main operators, companies that are historically focused on delivering fixed wireless solution to the mass market, that are Link and Mendeolo, and together they hold a market share greater than 80%. Besides these 2 market leaders, there are some nationwide traditional telco operators, and also a consistent number of local or regional FWA service providers, which aggregate market share is around 10.9%. The DESI report 2020 shows that in Italy we reach a high level of deployment of these technologies. that are available to 73% of households in 2019. That is significantly above the EU average, that is around 49%. The so-called pure fixed wireless operators tends to deploy their networks in order to cover a static customer basis, since there is no mobility for this kind of customers. And so they can tailoring and adjusting the radio planning in order to fulfill the capacity demand that is already known. On the other side, the traditional operator usually provide fixed wireless access using the set of frequencies that already are in their availability due to the licenses for mobile communication service. So in this case, we have a shared capacity and no reservation policy for or guaranteed quality of service. They just use dedicated APN for delivering this service. And use tends to offer this kind of FWA solution only when no other NGA solution are available. Regarding the digital divide, the FWA solution are crucial to overcome the digital divide that still affects a wide portion of Italian territory, especially in rural and mountainous areas. And therefore, they support Italy to be compliant with the EU digital single market and gigabit society strategies. The ultra broadband Italian national strategy that we call Piano Bull has indeed the goal to cover these white or market failure areas where around a quarter of Italian population actually live. This Piano Bull was executed by 3 tenders that were issued by Infra dell'Italia SPA, is an in-house company of our Ministry of Economic Development, and were aimed to design and build a public fiber-based network with different access solutions. Open Fiber win the bid for all these 3 tenders, is a wholesale operator only, and propose a coverage mix of white areas composed by 80% of fiber to the home solution and a 20% of fixed wireless access solution, thanks to 2 blocks of frequency that Open Fiber has the license to use in 26 gigahertz and 28 gigahertz bands. So the final customer of these services will be able to choose among 2 service profile, over 30 megabit per second and up to 100 megabit per second. Agicom in the history has set a wide bunch of decisions in order to fix procedure for action of spectrum portions. The first action was awarded the 3.4, 3.6 gigahertz band, was set out in 2008, and provide a segment of 3 right of use equal to 21 megahertz paired. They were provided minimum coverage obligation at the time, because the action goes back to 2008. WiMAX technique were applied to deliver the so-called broadband wireless access. Then another major auction happened in 2018 to assign both the upper portion of this band, so the 3.6 to 3.8 gigahertz, and the so-called millimetric band, that is between 26.5 to 27.5 gigahertz. Beside this main action, Agicom fixed several procedures from 2000 onward to assign right of use in the 26 and 28 gigahertz band that were intended at the beginning to deliver point-to-multipoint communication. the fixed wireless access is said to be one of the first 5G applications to enter the mass market in Italy, due to its foreseeable traffic loss scenarios and the lack of user mobility. The first solution will be rolled out in the 26 GHz band, where there have been issued, thanks to the action in 2018, 5 nationwide grants of use of 200 MHz each. Operators in this band are allowed to dynamically share the spectrum available in the whole band in the area where other carriers are not employing their licensed frequencies. According to the first commercial trials that are carried out by some operators here in Italy, this solution, this FWA solution 5G, can effectively provide ultra broadband and fiber-like performance. And so this network will be able to achieve the performance threshold set by BEREC for very high capacity network. In Italy, there's a great plan of copper decommissioning carried out by TIM, the Italian incumbent operator, that is evolving its legacy network to an optical and full IP-based network. So the plan aimed to switch off thousands of local exchanges in order to improve efficiency and promote ultra-wideband services take-up. This ongoing decommission process target will replace, at first stage, there will be a partial migration to fiber to the cabinet networks, starting from the less infrastructure and populated areas of the country. The legacy copper network will be partially dismantled starting from 2023, and so the communication services will be delivered through a new infrastructure, mainly based on fiber to the cabinet, fiber to the home solution, and will be a residual part of FWA services that will be delivered for scattered or faraway user. This should be an intermediate step, since the copper wires survive in the last mile from the cabinet to the customer premises, toward a complete legacy network decommissioning. And I finish. Thank you, everyone. I hope you will enjoy. I hand over to the next roundtable discussion. Bye.
Thank you very much, Marco. And I would also just like to thank the audience very much for listening to those interesting presentations. Just one takeaway, I think, for this group. I think what I'm hearing is that obviously there's a strong market opportunity for FWA, not just for rural customers unable to get a fixed broadband service, but also perhaps customers that have got a poorly performing service, or customers who just choose to have a more flexible contract, or those who require broadband connectivity quickly. I think we've also heard that whilst fixed wireless access may not compete with fiber to the premises on speed, it's interesting that there may be some other benefits from FWA that the operators alluded to there, such as unlimited data allowances, or other package services, OTT, TV, AR, VR were all mentioned. I guess just in terms of the future agenda for this group, sort of how you manage the network capacity and the network performance of FWA as the services evolve and more customers come onto the network is probably a key question. So that's all from me. I'm going to hand over to Julianne again, who is going to be moderating the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeanette, and many thanks to our previous speakers. I mean, the session was really insightful. So a big thank you again from all the forum members. And now we will move to the final stage, which is the roundtable discussion with the companies who are part of the forum, and we will focus on the CPE and the chipset side of things. So today we have Steve Collins, Senior Vice President Access Devices from CASA Systems. We have Simon Tao, Fixed Wireless Access Industry Principal and 5G Ecosystem Business Development Director from Fibocom. We have Yo-Yo Chen, Vice President of Toads Canway. And we have Justin Hay, 5G Ecosystem Director from Unisoc. So I will probably start immediately because we are running out of time. Maybe let's start with a very high-level question about the big trends in the market. So from each of you, from your position in the value chain, what do you see the major trends driving fixed wireless access today in the market? I mean, is it the economy, the pandemic, connect the unconnected, work from home, 5G, etc.? I will probably maybe start first with Yo-Yo from Toast. Would you like to start, please?
Yes. Hello, everybody. This is Yo-Yo Chen from Guangzhou Tongzhen, and I'm the Vice President of Tongzhen Company. I'm in charge of the overseas CPE selling all over the world. So I would like to say something about the market trade for the FWA. So I think for the FWA, when speaking of the population, there were more than 60 million FWA connections by the end of 2020. The first reason is that due to the pandemic, and people need to work from home, and students need to study at home. So this is the reason why increasing the FWA business. And the second reason is for the connected to the unconnected. So we have calculated there are around 900 million households worldwide are not connected to the home broadband. Among them, 800 million of which are non-poor families, so which are driving demand for the FWA increasing in the market. Number three reason is for the 5G expansion. So actually, until February 2021, there are around 144 operators in 61 countries and the regions launched the 5G commercial service. 413 operators are invested in 5G networks in the form of test, trials, planning, and the actual deployment, which leads to a huge potential for FWA. This is for the market trade. And I also want to say for the technical trade. So we are thinking outdoor CPE will become more and more popular comparing to indoor CPE. Just I heard the presentation from Patrick from Telia. He mentioned that outdoor CPE will become more popular because of the the receiving and transmitting signal stable. So we also think the outdoor CPE will become the trade, the technical trade. And also we think the massive MIMO technology will also become the technical trade for this reason. But we need to solve the installation problem for outdoor CPE. So now for outdoor CPE for 4G, normally we need a bracket, and it make operator a little bit difficult to do that. And most of the countries, their installation fee is very expensive. So we are thinking for this technical trade, if we can solve the self-installation, it will be much more better for the outdoor CPE application. And for the cost trade, I will also want to say something. Now we're doing our 5G CPE together with Unisoc chipset. So we are thinking that for the cost trade until 2021, beginning of 2021, beginning of 2022, end of 2021, the cost of the CPE is nearly around $100 to $150. It will become very, very, very attractive for the operators to implement the 5G CP and technology worldwide. So
Okay.
that's all for my point of view. Thank you, Julian.
Thank you. It was quite long, so maybe I would like to ask other speakers to be a little bit faster, quicker in their response, please. So I mean, any one of you would like to add something on these high-level trends? I mean, going back to the end user, why they are connecting. What do you see? Is it really in the digital divide side of things, or is it to do home working? Maybe Steve, would you like to say something about this?
Yeah, sure. So just very briefly, the major drivers I see really are twofold. One is about connecting unconnected. So a lot of countries and a lot of regulators now worldwide are looking at broadband as another service. So like water and electricity, mandatory services that they require for all their constituents. So having connectivity for all users in their country is becoming important. So the digital divide, as mentioned in the Italy presentation earlier, so that's becoming very widespread. The other thing is, particularly with millimeter wave, we're seeing a genuine desire to either augment fiber for areas that are hard to reach, or to replace fiber if it's a disruptive operator coming in to replace a fiber incumbent. So they're probably the two main drivers I see for fixed wireless 5G.
Thank you, Steve. Maybe I will ask Simon. So we have the module vendor.
Yeah, from the module point of view, and we want to say about the 2020, the COVID-19 had greatly accelerated the work from home and study from home. And Famicom has a very big market in the always connect PC, which is earlier than the FWA's explosion, because before the virus coming, and the home cables network is most planned and served for the daily life entertainment, or like the server internet, watch movies or play games. But now it's need to support more multiplayers in the home for the seriously work or study. So some of my US friends' children's school, they distribute cellular inside PC for the children and to work from to study from home. But later, most of the PC is not cellular based, so the FWA's requirements is more exploded in the second half of the last year. So we think that this is a new business model, like the FWA with the new content or some new service, value-added services on behind. And also we find that there is also depressed need under the cable or copper in the traditional network connectivities, and also new digitalization is in smart home is coming. So more electronic devices need to connect that always online with low latency. China as example, the now current latency in China's wireless is better than the fiber, and also some lessons and contents with digital copyrights has been moved from local to the cloud. So in conclusion, that we believe that there is a trend like the FWA will moving from home to more scenarios like small business offices using the ERP, OA, or EHR in the cloud. They will need much more wider bandwidth and more data adoption of that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Simon. Maybe Justin, if you have something else to add on this, from your point of view on the chipset side.
Okay. Since 2019, I hear one question a lot from customer and the value chain partners is that when will 5G CP become mass market? So what our understanding for mass market? It means that the unit price for 5G CP is lower than $150 US dollar. Okay, so we are happy to see that for the entry level of 5G CP, unit price was lower than $150 US dollar. Was commercial launched in the early of 2020. We cooperate with China Unicom in China, and our customers, we successfully launched this 5G CPE. And also, let me introduce some background for 5G FWA market. According to professional report in 2020, around 20 million PC cellular basis CP was sold. Based on UniSoc market research, in 2020, around 5% of FWA solution. It means that 1 million pieces 5G CPE were sold. And mostly they are used in China and the EMEA region. With the deployment of 5G network around the world, the adoption rate will grow year by year. It means that around 40% in 2025 APAC and EMEA regions has high potentials for 5G FWA. And 90% come from indoor CPE and others come from outdoor CPE. It means that they will deploy as IDU and ODU together. In the past 2 years, UniSoc worked together with CPE device manufacturer to improve the 5G connection performance, Wi-Fi solution quality, and whole device performance. Our 5G chipset UniSoc V510 supports mainstream band like ultra-high band N78, N79, and N41 for high value areas. Also, mid-high band like N1 and N3 for coverage and capacity. Furthermore, we support the low band like N20 and N28 for the wide coverage. Based on our effort, we believe that in 2022, the unit price for 5G CPE will go to $100. So it means that the mass market is coming. Thanks, that's all.
Actually, I would like to discuss about the outdoor-indoor, because on the moderated chat part, there are lots of questions around the differences between outdoor and indoor, the implications, and actually it was quite interesting, like one attendee mentioned, the contrast between Telia looking at outdoor CPE primarily, and maybe Turkcell looking at the indoor side of things. So it would maybe good to maybe remind what are the key differences between the two sort of devices quickly, and yeah, explain maybe if you see a split between the two device categories, can you maybe a percentage, some statistics, or maybe bring some regional views on around this topic? I will maybe start with Steve this time, if it's fine for you.
Sure, thanks, Julian. So, yeah, I mean, there's two main topologies that often get called outdoor and indoor because that's where the devices live. They come about just simply because of propagation and the ability for the signal to make its way from the base station through to the CPE. Obviously, the better the quality of the signal, the better the quality of the broadband connection. If you can make the device get a better level of signal, then it will perform better for the user. What tends to happen with fixed wireless is the spectrum that gets allocated to the fixed wireless units are the ones that the operator don't want to use for their handsets. And they tend to be higher frequency spectrum assets. So in the sub-6 space, we see a lot of activity in the 3.5 gig space all over the world. And now with millimeter wave, we're up in 28 gig or wherever the millimeter wave spectrum is that country has got available. These are challenging frequencies to work and to propagate into homes. The bottom line is you can't change the laws of physics, as someone smart once said, and if you can make the CPE get closer to the base station and get a better quality of signal, you're going to have a better use case. And I think the Telia presentation earlier today had, they'd worked that out the hard way of trying different types of devices. If you've got lower band assets and you've got capacity on those lower band assets, which is unusual, but if you do, you can make an indoor solution work. And despite very good efforts to make indoor work on the high frequency assets, the bottom line is it doesn't work very well. And so having a device that can get outside and have the outdoor ratings will get a better usage and a better performance for the user. So we're seeing that everywhere now. For a number of years, operators and customers have said to us, no, it must go indoor. This thing must work just like a piece of fixed line infrastructure. They want it to work like an ADSL modem or like a fiber to the home modem. bottom line is for fixed wireless, that business model doesn't stack up. The performance isn't good enough. But if you can make the leap across to an outdoor solution or some sort of installation that has some outdoor elements, the business model is far superior. There's a bit of more work you have to do, but the performance and the longevity of the solution is significantly higher.
Thank you, Steve. Maybe Simon, from your side, what do you see in terms of demand, from the modules with respect to indoor versus outdoor CPEs? What do you see?
Yeah, I think the module vendors is very very good to answer this question, because we support most of the global CP device providers and the top 20 or top 30 vendors we are working with together in 4G and 5G. So we find that totally from the form factor point of view, indoor CPs are more dominant in the adoption rate, and but outdoor is very important, especially in the millimeter wave stage in the future, and also some new technologies. We find that the outdoor unit which need more reliable and stability design. So our module will give them more will proactively consider some protection about protect the salty environment and the cold, extremely cold or extremely hot scenarios to meet with the high level or industry level or even vertical car level reliability. And also we find that the IDU will in the future there is a trend like it's not only for the communication but also like a container to contain with more rights or more content or more value-added services to match with diversified new scenarios in the smart home or smart offices. So which also required the CPU to have better performance and cloud adaptation and computing power with machine learning or AI algorithm inside. So we are also supporting our customers to do some new innovation on the containers with like super high memory and flash, and also with some very high-end CPU with Intel with C3000 CPU to have the much more power computing powers like that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Yo-Yo, is there anything you would like to add on this topic, because it's quite a significant one?
No.
Okay. Very good. But I think it was really well covered. So let's move on to maybe another question. I mean, right now, do you see any split between 4G and 5G in terms of demand? How the things are going? I mean, are there different dynamics? Maybe I will start now with Simon, because you have not started yet to answer first. So you'll go, please.
Just the signal has a little bit bad. Can you repeat your question? Sorry.
Sure. Do you have any trends you can share between 5G and 4G CPE adoption from your side? Do you see a strong boost in 5G, or
Yeah. So from the form factor or outside, we think that we find that the 5G is a little bit larger than 4G, because the 5G currently the chipset that the power consumption is a little bit higher than 4G, and which need more antenna. 5G is up to 8 antennas to combine the 3G, 4G, 5G's capabilities together, or the band or the frequency band and the carrier aggregation and also the NDC combination together. So it's very complex than 4G. And another thing is 5G will have a super high speed up to like 2G to 4G gigabit speed. So which need the CPU will support the Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 6E version up to maybe from 1.8 gigabits to 6 gigabits with high speed. So the Wi-Fi also need more antennas in this small box So the integration of the 5G, we think, is very important, and also the antennas uplink enhancement with much better receive performance and receive sensitivity will be the key competitiveness to the module or the CPE vendors.
Thank you, Simon. Yo-Yo, would you like to say something about 5G CPE adoption from your side? And then Steve, maybe you can add a little bit more if you wish.
Now I don't have any comments for this question. Steve, you can go ahead.
I'll keep it super short, Julian. Today, in terms of shipping units, just to answer your question about where we see activity, 4G is still by far and away high volume. Shipping, it's still very good technology, still very performant. 5G is where all the activity is for new business development and where we're seeing all activity for future products. So in terms of what is shipping, 4G, in terms of what we're talking about and what we'll be shipping in the coming years, it's all moving to 5G.
All right. Thank you, Steve. At the same time, we have mentioned, Simon in particular, you've mentioned quite a lot of technical stuff, which is great. But I see also on the moderated questions that there are several attendees mentioning that it's good to see all this technology evolution. It's good to see more services being provided by fixed wireless access and so on. But how do you manage to keep the network performance or the overall service performance good enough to do all those things, and also to support all these new features coming in? How do you think between the CP side and the network side? So there is maybe a question about behind this around interoperability, device testing, or these sort of things, how to really make all the things working together. Yo-Yo, would you like to take this question? Or
Yeah. This question is good for me because as a CPE vendor, I would like to do the interoperability testing because it will save a lot of time when I work with the overseas operators. Because every operator has their own network and has their own features. So now we already finished the interoperability testing with Huawei Lab, both in China and in SA in South Africa. So actually, we would like to do the interoperability testing with such as Nokia or Ericsson. So if we can do the testing with the other two equipment manufacturer, then it can save a lot of time for me as a CPE vendor to do the mutual testing with the operators.
Okay. Steve, Simon, do you want to add something on this?
Yeah, I think the compatibility with the network side is very important. I was working in Huawei and Ericsson for more than 10 years at the network side. So from the network point of view, and actually the network side is supporting the operators CTO line to manage the network, to make sure that the CPE's form factor will not affect the mobile phones user experience, because CPEs will adopt much more network resources compared with the mobile phone. Each one CPE maybe will occupy like 10 or 20 network resources than a smartphone. But the smartphone sometimes will need the communication and contact with some emergency call, which is necessary to use. So we think that the speed and the consistent speed control policy and the consistency control policy is very important to depend on, rely on the operator's strategy. And before that, from a technical point of view, what we are now doing is to do the pre-test with like Nokia, Ericsson, and some network vendors, all the network vendors in China or overseas, to make sure that our module and the chipset is compatible before launch. And each year, these network vendors will have 2 or more times network upgrade from Release 15, Release 16 in the future. So they have different big versions, small versions. So we will continuously do the test cases with them to make sure that our module is fully aligned with the network side, and to minimize the bugs, so that our customers in the overseas and using the devices will not affected by the network compatibility point of issue. Yeah.
Okay. Steve, do you want to add something here, or is it?
Oh no, look, I mean, interop and end-to-end testing is tough. You know, it's a complicated system. There's many moving parts. You've got different cores, you've got different RANs, you've got different CPUs, different chipsets, and the harsh reality of it is quality takes time, and quality does cost. So if you've got a complicated environment with many moving parts, you can minimize your risk around interop issues by paying a bit more for some better and more feature-rich solutions, in my view. And you know, there are other ways of taking that strategy as well. But it's the more features that get added into the ecosystem, the more complicated they are. The interop testing becomes a higher and higher stakes game. So you know, having a good partner and a good ecosystem around your products is the key to success.
Okay, very good. It's clear. Maybe I will ask you one final question, and then we will close the event. You know, it's quite a basic one, but it's I hope an interesting one. What is you know, the most common questions you get from your customers? I mean, your own customers. So you have the CPE guys speaking to the operators, and then you have the module guys speaking to you guys. So maybe you could ask openly the questions to Simon, I think, Steve and you. But okay, let's start maybe with I don't know, with you, Simon. Do you want to explain what kind of common questions you get from CPE vendors when they want to engage with you?
Yeah, okay. I'll quickly consolidate some major questions we have been asked mostly from our customers. The first day is actually our customer is asking when the 5G modules will cost down with 4G level. This is a very serious question. This is a very logical one, because you know, sometimes the current promotion of 5G's problem is the chipset and module price is still high compared with the 4G. But if the price of the 5G's cost down maybe a little bit higher than the Cat 12 or Cat 18, maybe the operators will directly jump to the 5G. Will skip the LTE Pro stage. Some operator has already tried that, but the terminals devices is the most of the part is from the chipset and the module. So we're now trying our best to merge the different chipset platforms test cases and some hardware design, software design to reuse in the different platform. We have signed the 3 platform with Qualcomm X55, Unisoc, 5G V510, 510, and MTK's chipset. And we have the most full chipset platform all over the world in the module vendor side. And we combine the test cases so that we can minimize the cost, operation cost, from to save the cost from the customer. But like if the CP customer, they directly sign some chipset, they will also do the things again. So we are showing the value from here. Then we have very we have confidence that in this year 2021, it's it will have very good trend to show that the module will much closer to the 4G. So we think that in next year, the 5G's cost maybe will cost down lower to the maybe $30 or $40, $50 more than LTE Pro. At that time, maybe there were a big chance to push the operators to switch the 4G low speed CPE to the 5G directly.
Very good. So now that you CPE guys have your answers, what are the key questions you get from MNOs, please? Yo-Yo, you want to start? Or
Actually, my question is the same as Simon's question because I'm a CPE vendor, and customer always ask, can your CPE be much more lower? So whatever 4G or 5G, they ask the same question. So actually, Simon already replied my question. And the second question, customer always ask that whether your CPE support the NMS system, means the TR069, means the remote control.
Yeah.
Because the operator want to update the firmware by air. They don't want to be on site to update in the user's house. So this is the second question. And the third question operator always asks is after sales service. So as a terminal vendor, normally we provide 1 or 2% FOC units for the operators because we are not so big as Huawei or ZTE, so we don't have the local office everywhere. So normally we provide 1 or 2% FOC units for the operators to solve the after-sales service. Okay. Thank you, Julian.
Thank you, Yo-Yo. Steve, do you want to have a final word, and then I will move to John for the closing of the event?
Yeah, sure thing. So, I mean, I get the same question too. When can we be cheap? So, common theme there. But we've made a lot of noise at Casa Systems over the last 12 months about millimeter wave. We had a couple of world firsts last year around long distance, high power millimeter wave, and I think that press that we put out last year has probably generated the most questions for myself. You know, a lot of operators ringing us and talking to myself about, is that real? Can it be done? You know, we did a gig over 7 kilometers using high power millimeter wave. And so that question, I think, is probably the one that people are most excited about, because in terms of 5G and fixed wireless, millimeter wave spectrum assets, which are hundreds of megahertz of channel bandwidth, are genuinely capable of fiber replacement and a competitive fiber product, and also are very scalable to hundreds of thousands of users on a country basis. You know, whereas your sub-6 frequencies tend to tap out in terms of scaling to many users, whereas when you have hundreds of megahertz of channel bandwidth, millimeter wave gets very exciting. But the challenges of the propagation of millimeter wave aren't trivial. But the high power millimeter wave that we're seeing coming into the market is super exciting. And so I think that's where a lot of the activity from my perspective is going. And a lot of the questions is, can it be made to work? Is it real? And the good news is it is, and it's only going to get more exciting over the next few years.
Thank you, Steve. It's always good to finish with good news, so thanks for that. And I would like to thank you all. I mean, Yo-Yo, Simon, Steve, and I would like also to thank you for sponsoring the first event, and would like to apologize also to Uniso for the technical issues we seem to have encountered. So I will now pass the floor to John for the closing. John, are you there? John, I don't. We cannot hear you.
Do you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Do you hear me? Yes. Okay. It seems that the audio is working now. So my name is John Yazle, and I'm a vice chairman of the GSA 4G 5G Fixed Wireless Access Forum. And I'm working at Ericsson, driving the fixed wireless access engagements with our customers globally. I hear some echo. So basically, what I want to finalize by saying that we see fixed wireless as a very good opportunity to bridging the digital divide. In the past year has shown that it is really important to really have fast and reliable broadband. I think as people work from home, study from home, or socialize, so if that was important, now it's even more. Then as the digitalization increases, and a lot of people have seen now that digitalization may be moved 2, 3, 5 years ahead, it's really important to address the lack of broadband or lack of competition in the broadband market. And I hope that regulators and the industry see fixed wireless as a tool to address that. Then I think also important to think about 5G as a platform for innovation. Many use cases, including mobile broadband, IoT, and fixed wireless access. So fixed wireless is a very good part of the business case to bring fixed wireless access beyond large cities to the suburbs and to rural areas, enabling the other use cases as well. Then I want also to mention that fixed wireless is an important complement to fiber. I think was very good example today of operators having both fiber and fixed wireless access, and they play whole together. And then last, I think also this event and the GSA FWA ecosystem shows that there's a large global ecosystem with a lot of innovation, open innovation, and variety of players across all parts of the ecosystem, really making fixed wireless a future-proof technology. So, as Julian mentioned in the beginning, the objective of this ecosystem is really to promote fixed wireless access, show best practices, show that there is a solid ecosystem, share insights, and also bring confidence for operators, regulators, or other players to really see this as an opportunity for them. We have now more than 35, 36 members. This is not complete, so we welcome other companies willing to join. And we have achieved a couple of milestones in these few months, and I hope we will have more opportunity to continue discussion and show more on fixed wireless access during the year. So I'd like to thank again all the speakers, the audience, and the sponsors, and really invite other interested to contact us on the FWA Forum at gsa.com for additional information, or if you want to join the forum. So thank you very much, and I pass back to Richard for closing.
Thank you very much, John. So again, thank you very much to everyone for joining us today for the GSA 4G, 5G Fixed Wireless Access Forum Plenary. Particular thanks to our speakers, regulators and operators, and obviously our vendor sponsors as well for, I think, some great presentations and discussion. After the event, you will receive a copy of today's slides and a link to the recording, so you can share it with colleagues and watch on demand if you wish. As Simon mentioned up front, a lot of the fixed wireless access data you've seen today is taken from the GSA's Gambod database. So it's the search analysis tool really, which contains the most up-to-date information on 4G and 5G devices, networks, technologies and spectrum, and is an industry resource that's fully available to all employees of GSA executive and member companies and GSA associates who subscribe to the service. For the latest updates on GSA research and activities, including future events, please do follow GSA on our social channels. You'll find us on Twitter, LinkedIn, WeChat, and Weibo. And if you visit gsacom.com, you'll be able to subscribe to our weekly Research Digest emails and new report notifications. So finally, on behalf of our speakers, sponsors, and the GSA, all it remains for me to say thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you again at the next event. Many thanks.